Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedlie, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so honored and so delighted that you join us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show, your kids' teachers, their principal, their librarian, and also please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is Kirsti Call. She is here to celebrate cold turkey. Before we invite Kirstie into the studio, I want to invite you to check out my book. It's called The Great Maratini, and it was illustrated by my amazingly talented niece, Tiffany Doherty. The Great Maratini is a fun and touching story about Sam, a lovable but far from perfect magician. He is known throughout the land as the Great Maratini. Despite his many on-stage mishaps, Sam never gives up on himself. And as a result of that grit and resolve, he's able to dazzle audiences with his amazing transformations. Sam also has a kind heart, and he's not able to walk away from anybody in need. And he soon learns that the greatest transformation of all is transforming feelings of caring into action to help another human being. You can experience a Great Maratini for free using Kindle Unlimited. Check it out. Amazon has it. The Great Maratini. We also want to invite you to connect with us on social media. Facebook.com/readingwithyourkids. At Reading With Your Kids on Instagram. At Jedlie Magic on Twitter. Please check out our Pinterest page and our YouTube channel. Coming soon, Drawing With Your Kids. You'll be able to visit our website, drawingwithyourkids.com. But before you do, please be sure to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You can check out our online magazine. It's free. You can also check out our Certified Great Read Wall of Fame. And if you are an author, you absolutely want to click the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page to learn how you can be a guest here on the podcast, learn how you can submit your book to our Certified Great Read panel, and learn all about our monthly promotion program. Learn all about that and more at readingwithyourkids.com. Join us right now from the beautiful state of Massachusetts. Our guest is here today to celebrate. Her brand new picture book is called Cold Turkey. Please welcome to the show, Kirsti Call. Hey, Kirstie, how are you?
Great. So glad to be here, Jed.
I'm happy to have you here. Let's jump right into it. What's Cold Turkey all about?
Well, Cold Turkey is the story of a turkey who is freezing. He wakes up really, really cold, and he bundles up and goes outside into the blizzard and keeps finding animal friends along the way who are also cold. And he ends up, throughout the story, giving away all of his winter clothing. And I won't tell you the surprise ending.
Now, the picture on the cover art is fantastic. There is a turkey with a stocking cap and scarf and all sorts of winter wear. Here in Massachusetts, we have a problem with turkeys.
This is why I wrote the book.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, because the turkeys...
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and they're incredibly aggressive.
Yes.
So was there a particular turkey on a cold winter day that was trying to keep you out of your car that inspired this book?
Well, I just have turkeys in my backyard all the time. They love my backyard. They love my front yard. They love, as you know, walking across the streets in Massachusetts. And so one of the times I had to stop for all the turkeys across the street. And I thought to myself, Cold Turkey, that would be a really fun picture book title.
It would. It is. It is. Yeah.
That's how it started.
Ah, cool. It is such a weird phenomenon. Growing up, it didn't seem, like seeing a turkey in the wild growing up was like a real a rarity. It might happen once every couple of years, but I mean, I live in the city, and they're everywhere. And like I said, they're nasty creatures. They're delicious, but they're also nasty.
I want to point out that our cold turkey is very kind-hearted.
Okay, that's exactly right. He's giving away his clothes. So he's not a Massachusetts turkey.
He's not a Massachusetts turkey. And the thing, and what Chad Otis does, our illustrator, is he makes this story so funny by putting all of these, winter, like the hat and the gloves on other animals in ways that are super funny.
You've been writing for kids for how long now?
It's been 10, 11 years.
Yeah. During that time, have you noticed that the way you approach writing for kids has changed at all?
Well, there were a few big changes for me that made a huge difference in the way that I was writing. The first thing was my first book came out in 2013, and that was with a small press, and I got that contract by myself, and the book is called The Raindrop Who Couldn't Fall. In fact, you might have interviewed me for that one.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? That was a long time ago. And then what I generally do is I just write. And when I have a spare 20 minutes, I try to write. I think it's because I have 5 children, and also I'm a therapist. And so I kind of trained myself to use those quiet moments to think about writing and to write. And what happened for me was for 6 years, I just kept sending out stories and getting rejections. And finally, after 6 years, I got an agent. And that was kind of my big breakthrough, because now that I'm on my second agent, but now that I have an agent, I've got books coming out, and it's super exciting. Cold turkey, I've had 4 books come out since 2020, and another one coming out next year. I've got Matilda's Bad Mood, Cow Says Meow, and The Big Scream, and these 2 got starred reviews with the School Library Journal, which was super exciting. The Big Scream and Cow Says Meow. And so all of that was in the last 2 years. Even though all of those other years I was writing, I kept writing and reading mentor texts and learning about how to write better. But there was just a lot of rejection and not a lot of, book contracts.
I guess the one question that jumps out is what was it that gave you the resiliency to keep on keeping on, to kind of continue to write and send your work out there despite all the rejections?
I think one of the most important things when you're a writer is finding joy in the journey and not doing it just for the result. Because, the goalpost always moves. At first it's like, okay, I just want to get a book contract. I just want to be an author. And then you're like, but I want another book, or I want an agent. And once you have an agent and 1 book contract, then you're going to want another book contract. It just never ends. So if that is your goal, then you're not going to be happy or persist, I don't think. But if, like for me, I just really love putting words together in a way that, hopefully makes people feel or change. And so knowing that, spending the time to put words together in a way for fun and finding joy in that, then you never give up, even if you're getting a lot of rejections.
Yeah. You just mentioned, you love the journey. You love putting words together to make people feel. Another Massachusetts author, Rajani LaRocca, was on the show and talked about her writing starts with an emotion. What was the process of getting that great title, Cold Turkey, and that image in your head, to where you got to the point where, like, well, I want kids to feel empathy as they read through this book and feel like they want to be kind? Or was that, part of your process for this book?
I really did I was hoping to hit the perfect, sweet spot with humor and heart. Most of my picture books have a lot of puns and a lot of humor, and I wanted there to be heart in this story. And I did want kids to look at cold turkey and be like, oh, I could do that. I can share my things, even if it makes me a little uncomfortable. And then there's this point in the story where the friends do reciprocate or notice that cold turkey is in just his birthday suit. So I definitely was hoping that people, and not only kids, like anyone I'm hoping that anyone who reads this book will feel more inclined to kind of think about how other people are feeling and to do things that will help them feel connection and feel love.
Yeah. I think that's something that parents assume kids are just going to develop naturally, this idea of being empathetic and feeling and not thinking the world revolves around them. But we know that kids, that doesn't come naturally, that kids, we need to help our kids learn these skills.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
You seem to come from a very creative family. As through the magic of technology, I'm able to look to your studio, and I see guitars and maybe a bass and a keyboard. It's and a drum kit, and so I'm thinking not only is there a lot of sound coming out of your house, but there's a lot of creativity happening in your house. Is there something in particular you all do that kind of spawns that creativity?
Well, we all sing together. So I have 5 kids, and we love singing. And sometimes we'll sing in 7 different parts a cappella.
Ooh.
As you can see, we also love musical instruments. We had a family band that is a little bit defunct, but the 3 older kids write music and produce it and are in their own bands. And in fact, my daughter, Sydney, writes songs for each of my picture books. So if you go to Kirsti Call on YouTube, there is a song for Cold Turkey and a song for all of the books that I've written that when I do school visits, I sing along with the kids, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. You were also mentioning to me that you also have a podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I do. My podcast is called Picture Book Look, and Kim Chafee is my co-host. And what we do is we interview authors and illustrators and their editors and sometimes book designers, and we ask them about the process, the creative process of making a book, the collaborative process of making a book. How was it inspired? What was it like to edit? Why did the editor acquire that book? And it has been such an incredible experience. We have interviewed people from all over the world, and most of the time, these people have not met each other. Like the illustrator and the author have never seen each other until they come onto the podcast. So we're on our 3rd season right now.
That's great. I think that's happened here on the Reading with Your Kids podcast, where an author and illustrator meet for the very first time. And the first time it happened, the author was brought to tears because she was so happy with what the illustrator had created for her words, and it was just so moving. And I think a lot of people are really who are outside the business of writing books, and who are maybe just getting into it, are very surprised that there's not this active collaboration between author and illustrator, and that when that happens, especially with a traditionally published book, it's incredibly rare. Is that something that do you like that process, or would you like to have more connection with your illustrators?
Oh, I think it's a wonderful, amazing, brilliant thing to not meet the illustrator until after the book is done. Because as authors, we might have these ideas in our minds that are not nearly as clever as a professional illustrator will come up with. And I do want to show you this page, and I'll describe to the listeners. I'm going to read these words. This is one of my favorite spreads. Cow was quivering. I can't help but complain. This wind is a catastrophe. It's utterly insane. And you see the cow holding her udder. And then the next page, Turkey has given her his sweater, and it's covering her udder. And it adds so much humor to this book, what Chad Otis has done is just brilliant. He's done such a fabulous job. And I have been so lucky to work with illustrators that have really enhanced my words for every book that I've done.
Yeah. Was it difficult? Because I know there are a lot of authors out there who are very protective of their books and like, well, this is my idea and these are my words, and if you change it, it's not going to be mine anymore. And did you come into writing with that kind of attitude, and did you have to learn to kind of let go and let other people collaborate and contribute?
Well, that's an interesting, what I have found that as I have grown as a writer, like I remember joining my first critique group and being so worried, like really hoping when I submitted my first work, really, really hoping that they would just love it and think it was great. And, now when I submit to my critique group, I want them to take every bit of advice that they have and tear it apart so that I can make my story the best that it can be. My very first story that I wrote 10, 11 years ago was called Wilma and the Big Scream. And that was the first story that I brought to my critique group, and it came out this summer.
The Big Scream.
As a board book with Simon & Schuster. And it's funny because this is more about persistence and waiting. I did get an offer on Wilma and the Big Scream like 10 years ago with a small press and just felt like I should wait. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful that I did it. And now this is, dozens of iterations later. Now it's a board book. It's not called Wilma. It's just called The Big Scream. It's written in rhyme, which it wasn't originally. It's now written in rhyme in 72 words instead of 500 words. So it's a big change. Mm-hmm. But I think that, when we are writing, we have to be willing to change. I remember I was talking to my agent and I was like, well, we were discussing and I thought, well, maybe if I just completely change this story, I felt like the concept was good, What did I need to do to get it out there in the world? And making it into a board book was the right thing. And I have gotten so many wonderful ideas from critique members, from my editors, from my agents. It is a collaborative process, and I actually love getting input from other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the best things an artist can learn is just being able to, one, have the courage to share your stuff and know that it doesn't have to be perfect the first time out, and to listen to critiques and suggestions.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Hey, where can people go to find out more about Cold Turkey, find out more about your podcast and everything that's going on in your creative life?
So I have a website called, it's just KirstiCall.com, www.Kirsti, Kirsti, Call.com. Also, like I said, if you want to find the music for Cold Turkey, it will be on my website, also on my YouTube channel. And Picture Book Look is on every podcast app. If you look on any podcast app, you will find Picture Book Look.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how many podcasting apps are out there?
I know. It's incredible.
People ask me, where can I find your show? Well, you can find it in more places than I know it's there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I love podcasts. So I was so excited to be here with you today, Jed. It's the first time that I've been interviewed in a little while. I've done many, many interviews of other people.
And it's such a blessing for me because as you were saying, both of us have interviewed authors and, creators from all over the world, which is amazing. And, to be able to sit down for 20 minutes, a half an hour with somebody who is an expert in their field and so passionate about what they're doing, it's such a blast. Even when I don't always understand what they're talking about, it's just fun, speaking with somebody that's so passionate about something and willing to share that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. I love writing for kids.
Yeah, and it shows. It shows. Hey, I want to encourage everybody to check out Cold Turkey. Learn about a turkey that doesn't live in Massachusetts, because this turkey is nice and empathetic and kind and caring and so unlike all the gangster turkeys that we have roaming the streets of Massachusetts. Our guest today has been Kirsti Call. Kirsti, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Richard Wagner. He'll be here to celebrate Needles, the Forgotten Christmas Tree. It's a really, really fun interview. You do not want to miss it. Hey, a little bit earlier in the show, I gave you a little bit of a tease. I said we're working on a new project. It's called Drawing with Your Kids. It's going to be a companion to the Reading with Your Kids podcast. This is going to be a video series that you and your kids are going to love. We have asked some amazing illustrators to come on and teach us how to draw their favorite character from the book. And we've had some really wonderful illustrators step up to the plate so far. Nick Hulot, Anusha Sayed, Jess McGecken, Lauren Castillo. So many more are promised to become involved. I'm really excited about it. I'm learning how to draw. I never thought I could draw anything, and I'm learning how to draw. You're going to love it. Just keep your ears open. Be sure to subscribe to the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We'll let you know when it debuts. Drawing with Your Kids. I'm so very excited. Hey, I'm also really excited to thank the people who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our guest, Kirsti Call. Please be sure to check out Cold Turkey. I should also thank me for sponsoring this episode and encourage you to check out my first children's picture book. It's called The Great Maritini, and you can experience it for free by going to Amazon if you are a member of Kindle Unlimited. Also, want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Mirabella Q, Jordan Saley, Stephanie Davila, Skylar Strauss. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.